It's the Soul One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of review of The Power of the Dr. Solomon Sci-Fi Podcast special.
This is a special thing.
My co-host has been on a secret mission at the far side of the galaxy.
To move house, basically.
And
I've
our
not done it
lovely
yet.
planet Earth.
I know.
How
I
is-
am staying on Earth. I'm fine. From Miami, we're moving just over a week's time. So it's chaos. We've got an old cross trailer which is going to be collected in the next hour. So I wanted to get this out and just do something on the show. Apologies, just to quickly say, everything's taking a lot longer than we first thought. I thought that I'd be out by the late September, early October, and we're not going to be out now until the first week of November. So as soon as we're up and running at the new place, then of course we'll be back with our regular content. So hopefully you still remember us. It's not been that long since we've been together, but we both saw The Power of the Doctor last night, and I saw it before Martin because Martin was out. And I said, this is really good. And luckily, when Martin saw it, he also gave a positive aspect. So before we quickly go into that, very quickly, Martin, how are you? How's life in London with you?
I'm all right. I'm getting into the new Quantum Leap. I think it's okay. I've
Yeah,
not
I
seen
like it.
Oh, yep. I've not seen
I know. I've seen the first 4 episodes of Quantum Leap, and I think it's good. I like the way it continues with the original series. I like the fact that the original actress who played Beth, who's Al's wife, is back. I lovely and now they've got a daughter and everything. So so far, the only thing against Quantum Leap is every sci-fi show always has the dreaded boxing episode of some sort. They have one in Voyager with Chakotay on this boxing ring thing with an alien entity, and I didn't like that episode. So Quantum Leap has also had a boxing one. I like the one with the space shuttle. I like the one with
that was the
best one. That was the best one. And Andor, I'll just quickly say, Martin's not seen it. I'm not too many spoilers. It is good, but it's not familiar in respect of Star Wars pacing. It's a slow burn show, so it's more like Star Trek than Star Wars, I think. But it is a good show. It's not what I expected, and I'm not going to give a proper review of it until we've seen it all together. That's why I'm trying to keep it as spoiler free as possible. But I think that Martin, you'll have pros and cons with it. I'm not sure what you'll think of it, but we're not talking about Andor.
I've got such a massive backlog.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I've been busy as anything.
I've got Sandman to watch. I've not even watched Sandman yet.
No, I know you mentioned that. I'm still watching.
I've got some. I'm trying to. I'm trying to do a few episodes per night, and you've
got a life and you've got work and relationships and commitments and everything, so that's understandable. I'm just so sorry that we've been away for so long, but we are still. Don't worry, we've not had some big falling out. We've not seen that bloody Martin. I hate him. No, it's not been anything like that. We've just been too busy. Bloody Coke-Blood and his god awful bloody graphics and everything. Get off my channel.
So when are you moving then? So
next
1st
week,
of November?
2nd November, which is Wednesday next week.
You must be excited about it now.
I am, but it's just there's so much stuff to get rid of. We've got a load of stuff at the Yellow Storage Company. We've got rid of so much old stuff, it's been a really, really tough going thing. We thought because of all the change, I won't go on about this too much, but obviously with the economy and the mini budgets and everything, we thought that the house sale would fall through. All sorts of things. It's been really touch and go for it's been 7 months since we started this.
Yeah.
Next week,
let's
not
done. Go there about the political situation.
No. Especially, yeah. Oh no, it's been hilarious. It's been better than watching Brookside. This is. But I've loved it. It's been really good. It's just been the most historic stuff. But yeah, so lots has happened. But so basically, we saw this new Doctor Who, and I've been skeptical after I did that Star Wars intro the other week or the other episode where we weren't too optimistic. I was still cautious, but shall I just quickly ask you then, what did you think of The Power of the Doctor?
Well, I went to see Jersey Boys last night, the musical, which was superb, by the way.
Great.
I know I came home in a very positive, dancing Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons type of mood, and slits across the front room.
You should have done a live stream then at that point. That might have been an
No,
interesting show.
you can't do that. There's somebody stands there with a big notice in front of the stage saying you can't use your camera.
Oh no, no, I mean,
yeah,
you should
no,
do
they
like,
do. They stand
No,
there.
but-
There's two usherettes. They stand
What I
there
was
for like
saying
2
was-
hours. With
I was
a
thinking,
card.
I was thinking that when you got home from seeing this thing, you could have done the live stream with me or by yourself. Well, no, I suppose you couldn't. 'Cause you haven't seen the Doctor Who yet. So what I'm talking about? No, you couldn't do a
No,
live stream
and
until you've seen it.
we wouldn't have been doing this till like midnight.
Oh no. Although I did get a message from you about midnight when I was going to bed.
Yeah.
You were saying you saw it. So yeah, for the surprises, obviously Chris Chibnall's had a very polarizing, more than that really. I think that the majority of people have been negative about his era as the the producer of the show, and of course Jodie Whittaker has had a lot of negativity. So they came up with this episode, which you and I were both negative about, and it really threw me. It really threw me from the moment it began, when they were trying to get on a train to the Master and everything else. So did you think it was going to go the way it ended up, or what did you think about what were your perspectives?
Well, I got it in a very hyper positive, dancey sort of mode last night.
Right, which is probably a good thing.
I floated across the front room and floated onto the sofa, had a cup of tea, and put the telly on, went straight to iPlayer, and there it was.
Yeah.
And I did say to my friend when I went out, I said I can imagine right now, as we're sat here, that coffee tables are probably getting kicked up all over the UK because they'll have gone and done something that would wound people up.
Yeah.
So I came in.
I thought that too.
Because I thought you were going to text me and say, they've done it again. Yeah, I was waiting in the
Well, I have a few times.
I didn't get
recently.
anything. And then
I have.
when I got in, I got a message from you saying 11 out of 10.
Yes.
And I was like, what? What do you mean there's no what the fuck moment of the coffee table going?
There was, but not in a negative way. There was a lot of what the fuck, but it wasn't a negative thing for me personally. So,
well, no, it wasn't. So I started what?
Go on.
So I started watching it, and I thought, what the bloody hell's going on? This is fucking marvellous. Why? And Emmett plays the Master Sebastian.
Oh, Sasha, what's his name? I love him. He's great. He's brilliant.
Bonkers.
I hope he comes back.
Oh no, I do. He's. I have to say, he's one of the best masters I've seen.
He's really up there, isn't he?
I think I'm probably gonna. I think he's better than John Sims' master.
Yeah. But he had a similar thing when he was dancing around at one point, and that was like
when he
very
were
John
doing that.
Sim-ish.
Did you see the TARDIS and Dalek like look at each other like that?
Yeah.
That moment.
The Cyberman and they sort of like the Dalek turned to the Cyberman. They went,
what the fuck?
Yeah, that's
and he's doing Rasputin.
Yes,
and it was fantastic, and the Easter eggs.
Yeah, we got the Easter eggs. It was like it's like a Easter the last 10 years in one thing with regard to the Easter eggs. I mean, how many Easter eggs were there? How many references were there? I mean, it was just more than I've ever seen in the entire New Who. And this, quite frankly, this whole thing is what I've loved about New Who, because a lot of people are saying, oh, I don't like New Who, or a lot of classic people saying, you know, there's a sort of almost like a competition between old and New Who. And I, for one, have never seen it as that. I've always just seen it as literally, it had a long break, it's come back. A bit like us in the podcast today. Not that long, not 15 years, but you know. And of course, there were so many surprises. And of course, the forced regeneration idea from the Master, when the Master was technically took over the Doctor's body, and although it wasn't the Doctor, it was the Master's essence of memory and personality in the Doctor's
gone into the Doctor,
consciousness. That was brilliant. I thought that was fantastic. But when I realised that this was going to be something special, was this fantastic idea of that when you regenerate, there's almost like a kind of a mental, spiritual kind of passing. It's like going through the pearly gates to something beyond, and you kind of get to this point where you can actually, although you're technically talking to yourself, you're talking to different aspects of your previous incarnations.
Your conscience.
And suddenly we saw David Bradley as the first Doctor. and I love David Bradley. He is,
He's
obviously,
bloody good actor.
nobody could beat William Hartnell, but David Bradley has been a fantastic, and we've seen him quite a few times now, and that was amazing. And then suddenly we saw Colin Baker. I thought, what? And then we suddenly saw Paul. Then we suddenly saw Peter Davison. Then we suddenly saw Paul McGann. Then we suddenly saw Sylvester McCoy. And I thought, okay, this is turning out to be something special. So at that point, I thought, okay, this is getting good. And then there's another very clever scene where the Doctor, I knew there was going to be something she's going to turn up, where she touched, I think Ace and Tegan were back, and she touched their shoulders.
You know them two.
No,
Sophie Aldred
was great. Ace,
she just fitted in, didn't she? Well, like, you could have her running around in TARDIS again.
She was great. So was Tegan. So was Janet Fielding. And so at that point, with all the actual old companions coming back, or at least two of because the 80s is my era for Doctor Who, as you know. I just thought this was just going to get, and it just got better and better and better.
I sat there after I watched
couldn't believe
last night. I'm thinking about watching it again tonight.
Yeah,
but I loved the whole 90 minutes of it as well.
It was so action packed. It was so solid.
It just never let up, did it? For a second.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I'm going to say this because we have been, how do you say it? For the last few years, we defended having a lady Doctor.
We did.
We were open-minded to it, and then over time we didn't turn against it, but the episodes were turned.
And it wasn't the actress, it wasn't Jodie Whittaker, it was the stories.
It just
showed this to me is the Caves of Androzani for the 13th Doctor in respect to the 5th Doctor. One of the best stories to the 5th Doctor. Was
why couldn't they write at this? Why couldn't they
write
at this level
I don't know.
For the last 3 years?
I don't know.
Last night
it was the best I've seen in 5 years.
She showed that she was an amazing Doctor last night.
I know.
If she could have had episodes at that level, she'd have been going into season 4 now. We'd have all been.
Well, maybe they should have done with Russell T Davies. Maybe, yeah, exactly. I think that for a lot of people, the estimation of her Doctor has gone right up now.
It did for me last night. Yeah. What a way for her to go out with a bang, and she did. Yeah. And I'm glad she got that redemption at last.
She got the redemption. The last episode was when we really saw that her Doctor, she wasn't that bad after all.
She shined like a star last night.
Loved it. I loved it.
Even all them assistants, which I want a fan of, them assistants, even they were pulling their weight in it last night.
Graham and Dan and
Yaz. It was just amazing. And I was watching, and it was just non-stop, just going. It's like a big production movie, and the quality value, all of it. But the thing for me was the Rasputin scene. I just because him as an actor, and when he's doing it, he's having the time of his life. He loved doing that.
Yeah,
he did. When he started doing that with his legs. And I just fell off the sofa in stitches. Yeah. I could not believe what I was, and I rewound it.
Because you cannot actually believe it.
Yeah. And that cutting out to that artificial planet, like.
But
with music, fantastic.
Oh, I know. And of course, then we saw a second TARDIS, which in the end was the Master's TARDIS, which was actually plugged into this planetoid or whatever it was. And like I said, it was very, very fast-paced, which I don't think it always works, but it really worked with this. There was not one dull moment.
But we didn't get any answers, though, did we?
No, but then you don't always get answers with these sort of episodes.
No, but
part of the mystery.
Yeah, the timeless child never got.
The Rude Doctor appeared as a hologram. I thought we were going to. She appeared. And I thought, this is where we're going to get actually answers of whether this is confirmation that the Doctor was originally from Gallifrey. That didn't. So whether that's going to be continued with, I think this
is going to go into Tennant. I think it's going to. This is with the regeneration. I was going to ask you. I think a lot of this is going to be carried on in the Tennant thing.
I hope so.
Regeneration.
I hope so. I mean, obviously it's a different runner now, showrunner, Russell T Davies. So I would hope that he would continue, but he might want to do something completely fresh for his own new perspective. because he's taken over the reins, kind of thing. So I would hope that he would take on some of Chris Chibnall's story ideas. I don't know.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see it resolved, and I don't think the Time Lords are dead either. I don't think.
I know that in Doctor Who, it's like the answer with the Master. The Master has died literally about 50 times over the last 60 years.
Did he die on? Did he get trapped on Gallifrey then? Because it could have been so far apart these episodes.
I can't remember now.
Because I was like, did he?
I know he was on Gallifrey.
Got away. I thought he left with the Cyberlords in that episode.
I thought he was too. It was a long time ago. Don't forget another aspect about the problem with this era. There's been such big gaps between each, partly because of COVID, but also because of BBC. They do sort of like drag along and not sort of promote it as much as they should. They put on Strictly Come Dancing every 10 minutes. People sort of like going like this every bloody day. But I said, well, watch that. Like, rather shoot myself in the head. Yeah. And that doesn't help the show. Doctor Who builds momentum, and if it's away for a year, you forget about it.
I mean, that'd be fantastic if that had been an opening pilot episode for a new series, and then next week.
Well, you know that it's going to be about 13 months until the next episode of Doctor Who. There's no Christmas special this year. It'll be next year.
We're not getting nothing.
Nothing, as far as I know. That's too long. They
filmed one.
They filmed them all. They filmed 3. That it's going to be in the can for another year.
So why can't they just release one at Christmas?
I don't know. I mean, it's still the 30th. It's still the 60th anniversary year, 2023. Could they have like one in December, or sorry, in Jan, or one in Jan, and then one at Easter, and then one at November for the. I might be wrong, but I've heard there's going to be a big gap until the next episode comes out.
Right. So nothing for. Well, by that time, we're just going to forget about it, aren't we? They're losing out on
you and I won't, but a lot of people, the casual fans, will forget about it.
Yeah, of course.
Now, I suppose I better talk to you about probably the couple of moments which really started to. I didn't cry, but I felt emotional. Emotional scenes were obviously Tegan talking to the holographic representation of the Fifth Doctor, mentioning Adric, which I loved.
Felt that.
Ace talking to the professor. We never saw them separate on the show, so they had some falling out after the survival, the last episode of season 26 of Classic, and of course the next time we saw the 7th Doctor, which is when he regenerated Paul McCann. So it answered that they had some big rifts, but they've kind of now worked out their differences and they're back as friends again. Which is
Ace said the last time she saw the Master, he were a cat.
Yes, but obviously they fell out. She fell out with the Doctor after the episode with the cat.
After that,
which was the episode Survival. Something happened, which was obviously off screen. I'm not talking about the Big Finish stuff because I think that stuff is good, but I'm not really interested in that because it's not.
That's fair enough. Yep.
And of course, the other thing which really I could not believe that they did this, and it was wonderful, was the scene where Dan and Graham were in this room. And of course, the Brigadier's daughter was there, and there were some classic companions, of which the most incredible one was Ian Chesterton from episode 1 in 1963. Was back. He didn't say a lot, but it was wonderful, and I can't believe they did that. I just thought it was such a wonderful moment for the entire. I personally think this episode really. This felt like the 60th anniversary episode. I mean, in many ways, this was really tying down everything over the last 60 years. But they've shown it a year earlier. So whether there's going to be more of this connections going on, as my phone's going. Sorry. Bear me 1 second, people. This is what happens when you move house. 1 second. No, the phone's going. This is not the phone. Told you this was going to happen. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. Did you like my old-fashioned Nokia ringtone, by the way? I made that myself. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Going back to what I was saying. So I just thought that to actually have that original actor back, but I wonder now how will they make it more of a reference for the 60th anniversary with what they've already done for this episode this year. I mean, what do you think? They did mention that they might actually have some things for units to do with some of those classic companions. Do you remember that?
I thought that was good. I've always wanted a unit spin-off.
So I wonder whether there's going to be something but that might be linked to next year's special.
Yeah, it's nice to see Unit back. I'm glad they're back.
Yeah, Unit's good.
I've always wanted to see a Unit spin-off series, which I think would work well today, but they never do it. And I thought it was superb. Everything I wanted out of Doctor Who, I got last night.
I did too.
Everything. I got a bad word to say about any of it.
I have not got one bad word either.
Even when they didn't ask the big question, we got some answers, and a lot of them were left. I didn't mind that. Do you know? By the end of it, I didn't even think about it. The Timeless Child, it was irrelevant to me. I was on such a ride on what I was saying. And I kept thinking, why couldn't the last 3 years have been like this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's... I think a lot of it is the Chibnall factor, but I still think it's also, again, in the last 3 or 4 years, what the world has gone through did affect production of certain shows. That's probably a conceit, it's probably an excuse, really. I think it was just the fact that it wasn't written by someone who perhaps should have been the showrunner. But and I know that Chris Chibnall, I think he dropped out partly because he had such a backlash from a lot of the actual fans, of the long-term fans of the series, and he bowed out. But I think what he must have thought was, look, if I'm going out, then I'm going to show you just what I can do.
Yeah, well, it's all right going out showing you what you can do. This is what you could have fucking given us over the last 3 years.
I agree. That's the problem.
I think it's a bit of a bloody insult if it's like that.
I agree.
No, I do, because she proved last night to me she could have been one of the best doctors going. She held her up. She was amazing last night.
I actually think
she was a doctor last night. She was a doctor.
I still remember a lot of the Peter Davison, even though I was younger. I remember a lot of people just said how he was just so in the shadow of the previous doctors, John Pertwee and Tom Baker. And I remember very clearly in his last episode, which I already mentioned tonight, the case of Androzani, when he was doing everything to save Perry, and it was one of the best written. It's really highly regarded in classic Who as one of the best stories, and how his doctor in that last episode really showed what he could do. And I think that now, because of what they did last night, I think that Jodie Whittaker's era will be looked at in a slightly better light. I think that you will see her in the future as maybe, she wasn't as bad as all that, because I've seen what she could do. I think this is actually a really good thing. I really do. I think they really got it right. I think that I'm really much more optimistic about things again now after being so pessimistic.
Oh yeah.
And we both felt exactly the same ever since we saw it. And you said to me, I said, you're going to watch it? I said, you're going to like it. And you came back to me and said, yeah, this is really, really good. And I was literally walking around like in a daze last night after watching this episode. I felt like I've been hit in the head, but in a good way. I just got knocked for 6. I just didn't know. It was just amazing.
You mean you didn't have kicking the coffee table over?
No, which I have had in the past, but not last night. Not last night. So, well done to everybody involved with this. I just wish that there wasn't all these big gaps all the time, and they could just get onto a regular 1 season a year, 10 episodes a year. 10 stories or a couple of double episodes or something. That's the one thing I regret with recent Doctor Who, that it's always so split up. Funny times of the year it's shown. It's not enough.
But the big question is, what did you think to the regeneration?
I thought it was going to be David Tennant because of all the leaks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's possible that because of it could have been that he was appear when the Master was then taken out of the Forced regeneration, but obviously it wasn't. I liked it. I mean, the one really strange thing is how come the 14th Doctor, which David Tennant is now, how come his clothes changed during the regeneration?
Yeah, I thought
was a bit
that.
strange.
I thought that's a bit.
How could his clothes physically regenerate with his body?
Yeah.
That was odd.
Yeah, when the master was walking around in her clothes as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that might be. I've got a feeling that might be something to do, a plot to do with something to do with his regeneration. I think there's something, because that's never happened before.
No.
In all those regenerations, and even the master, when he became her, he was wearing her clothes.
Yeah.
So it's a weird contradiction. So I've got a feeling that might be something which is going to be explained in next year. What did you think?
I had same thing with you about his clothes, but I did enjoy it. But I think the next 3 big specials is going to be about this regeneration going wrong.
I think so. I mean, David Tennant looked great as well.
I've seen the trailer.
Yes,
I saw that
they had a short
30-second
trailer at the end.
trailer.
Very
It
short
looked very
trailer.
interesting.
Yeah, it did. We saw Donna Noble. We saw the new guy as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not much you can speculate based on what we saw, but very exciting, very positive.
Who's the guy in the top hat, like the hat, you know?
Isn't it going to be what's that character? Celestial Toymaker from
Right.
Well, that's
I've
what
heard
people
rumours that we're going to bring him back.
I think it's possible. It's a Celestial Toymaker from very, very early Who. It might be a completely new random character we've never seen before. We don't know. But I really, really wanted to actually talk, and also to catch up with you properly and just sort of like say that we're still here. And shout out to Trek Fan 68. I hope you're watching this episode, and hi to you, and hope you're doing okay with your
How
family.
you doing, Robert?
Yeah,
I did send him a message when they had that tornado actually in America.
Oh yeah, I saw some messages about that.
I saw a message. I asked him if him and his family were all right. He got back to me, said they were all right.
I think he put on Facebook that he was okay. You could sort of like put a notification that we're fine. So it was good to hear that obviously he was okay, because you do think about people when these sort of things are going on. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyable this episode. I'm really stoked, and the thing is, and I have to say it, I've been so underwhelmed with the new Andor series. And you start to wonder, you think to yourself, well, look, maybe I'm getting older and just becoming a bit more, just not into this anymore. But you and I both, like I said, I want you to watch Andor. really looking forward to it.
I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to build all episodes up and then I'm going to watch it all.
That's up to you. I mean, they are longer. Some of them are
a few
45 minutes.
people I know have seen it and they've not been impressed with it. And a lot of them said it should have finished after 6 episodes.
I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Picard season 2, where there's too many middle episodes stuck on Earth with not much happening. And I think
that's what I'm a bit worried about.
What I would say is, I think that if they could not have had a 12-episode season, had a 6 or 8 episode season, just condensed it down a bit, I think that's what the problem is. I think it's too many episodes, it's too stretched out. So that's what I think about Andor.
12 is far too much.
Well, from what I've seen, I mean, it can be good if it's done, but for me it's the pacing. But this Doctor Who, the pacing was way. It was a roller coaster ride. It was a roller coaster.
What I watched last night was the true bout of Latin quality. It was Latin and its most shiniest.
It's the best episode I've seen probably since the last episodes of Peter Capaldi's era, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Which also had some great ones as well.
I mean, she's gone out with.
Oh, she's got. Yeah, I really like her now. She's really got on my straight. I mean it. I really do now. I think actually she was really good. I'm really glad now that she did this role, and I just feel it's a shame that I was really hard on her in those early years. And I noticed.
You want her. You want her. I mean, I think. Look, Jodie Whittaker's always been an awesome actress. She's very talented.
Yeah, I've not seen anything else. I've seen her in Black Mirror. Black Mirror, I've seen in Black Mirror.
Yeah, the writing for it has just been terrible.
Yeah, especially that first season.
And the things have been shoving in it, and it's been so bloody patronising.
Yeah,
but last night there were none of that.
Very woke.
This
wasn't even woke. I actually thought they were going to kiss at the end. I thought they were going to kiss. And they didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't. I didn't want to kiss.
Like I said when I was sat in theatre last night, we're getting to about 7:30, and I thought I'm gonna get a message. I'm waiting for to send a message like, I've just kicked the fucking coffee table up in the air right now, and I didn't get anything.
It was just right.
I kept
It was
looking
just
at
right.
my phone, going, "Where's the kick of the coffee
No,
table?"
the ending of their friendship relationship was perfect. I thought Yaz
Yeah.
and the Doctor, it was lovely. Everything about it, the special effects were fantastic. It looked really epic. They really.
But I'm not
It was like a movie. It was like a movie. It was a movie.
I'm not taking anything back. What I've said about it.
I'm not asking you to. I'm saying specifically for this episode, it was the best thing in 5 years.
It went out with a bang. I'd
Oh my
rather,
God.
to be honest, I'd rather fuck all last 3 seasons off and just watch that.
I know. No, like I'm going to watch the Flux episodes again this season again. I'm going to rewatch that because I think the problem with that was it didn't really need to be a sort of arc thing. I think it would have been better.
I think what I'm going to do, I might watch these
I'm going to watch
specials
some
all together.
Yeah.
All together, you know, with the Time Lord thing, it absorbs universes and all that. I might, maybe if you watch it all as one block,
I'm going to delve into the Whittaker
you might
era.
get some answers.
I think it is better now. That it's I don't know what it is, but now that her era's finished, maybe that's the problem. I don't know. I'm always very good with new stuff, but this episode, I'd known the character, I know the companions, I know what she was about, and it just works so well. Plus, you had the classic era. You had the classic references. You couldn't go wrong. Tegan and Janet Fielding. I sent a message to her this morning. We played Tegan. I said that she was great in a role. She gave me a like back on Twitter this morning. So it's nice to get some sort of reference from one of the actual people on the show, especially someone I've watched for 40 years nearly. So we're nearly out of Zoom time. So Martin, thank you for this very short kind of special.
No, this is just a podcast special we're doing.
I'll put this on the audio as well. So I'll put this release this properly. I'll do it on
I think next time we should come back as a Christmas special now.
Well, I tell you what, I'd like. Maybe we could do. Let me see how
you get everything sorted out, and if we'll try and get a Christmas special out.
Yeah, maybe. And then what? Maybe like start properly in January or something.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
maybe.
Thinking,
Yeah. Well, let me see how it goes because I don't want to get, because coming back today is really kind of nice, but as you say, it's all up in the air. Let's see how it goes. But we'll definitely be back, and we've got plenty of things we want to review.
Well, you just get moved, get settled.
No, I will. And
it's stressful time moving.
Yeah, it's been awful, mate. It's been awful. But I really appreciate the fact that you've been very supportive and everything. And
I've moved myself, mate. It's a bloody nightmare. I don't want to do it again. It's
no, I don't either. This is it as well, mate. Well, listen, Martin. Thank you everyone to checking this out today. We'll see you again soon. And if you haven't seen the episode, then obviously you've had plenty of spoilers.
One more question before we go. What do you give it out of 5?
5.
5. There you go. Live long and prosper.
See you later.